For TraderInsight.com, I am Julie Mans. This is the Morning in a Minute first hour trading pit recap. I want to let you know what we did this morning in the room, what opportunities existed. During that first hour of trading, we have at least 3 different things we look at. One of them is the trading plan from last night that Adrian puts together. That also has 3 different sections. The first section is the core trading plan. We had 5 stocks on that. That is the portion that has the record of over 12 years. An additional 5 stocks of opportunity that I will go over in a minute. We also look at a opening gap trade we call the Baltimore Chop, and news plays, and then there are usually 3 super cap NASDAQs on the scalper plan, including Apple, that we look at. So there's a lot going on, but it's because we need to have a lot of opportunities, so when one area isn't working, you can pivot to another. What you're looking at on your screen right now is the first of the 5 stocks that were on the core portion of the plan for today. This is BITA. BITA was a short. Here's a daily chart over here. We were looking as a planned entry down here below yesterday's low. That didn't happen. So what we do is look to see, is there opportunity within that day if the stock pulls up and against us and then goes in our original direction. You can see there was opportunity from the pivots. We trade pivot to pivot oftentimes, and from the first R2 resistance down to the R1 resistance floor trader pivot, then that was an opportunity that was probably fast. Most people probably wouldn't get it realistically after this consolidation and pop up through. This was the better trade from the R1 pivot down to the central pivot. And if you look, that is 78 up to 37. That's more or just under 40 cents of opportunity if you were involved with that trade. Second stock from the trading plan is CB Chubb. This one was a long switch hitter. It was a pullback play on a daily chart, and we were looking for it to go long today. It didn't quite do that in the morning. You can see this is the entry here at 143.76. It never hit that level. What it did do is go back through the central pivot down to the support 1 pivot and made a double header on these intraday 5-minute bars, which is a signal for us and our traders that have done the advanced education that this is a good place to go long. Our bias is long, so this is how we capitalize, again, on trades that don't hit the entry price, but we still can find opportunity in them during the day. So this was from 142.78 up to 123 and 143.23. There was great opportunity there for 40 cents worth of opportunity, and then again from this level up to the next pivot level, where there was well over $1.50 worth of opportunity. Also through our target price, it hasn't quite made 50% to target. It's hitting some support and resistance. So we'll see end of day where this ends up on the plan trade. But as for early morning trade, definitely had opportunity. DOV was also on that portion of the plan, and it is a short setup infield fly from yesterday. It did not hit the trigger price in the morning and actually consolidated for most of the day in a range that was not at all tradable. It's possible that this trade here, a setup from the central pivot down to this pivot, will work out, but you can see over most of the day it hasn't. This really, at these lows, would have been our target for an early trade. That's not what we're in, and we did not take that trade. The profit is almost, as the same as where you'd have to put your stop loss, so that wasn't something we were interested in. But what I do want to point out is that if this closes in the low of this range, I will have it on my extra innings for tomorrow. These are trades that didn't follow through on the day they were planned, and oftentimes have a tendency to follow through the next day or the day after. I call those extra innings, and you can find those on our Twitter feed, which is at Trader Insight. I send those out at night. J&J was another stock on this plan that had morning opportunity when it bounced down from this central pivot and had a target just around the lows of the opening bar. So some of the traders took that opportunity this morning. You can see it traded up, and we were looking for more opportunity if it stalled out at one of these pivots to the downside. It never did, and it continued higher for the day. You can see on the daily chart over here, I'm not going to be looking at this tomorrow as a short. HRC was an opportunity today from a portion of the plan called these stocks to watch. It is a trade that we could not find a good stop for the night before, so there's a mechanical stop. This trade allows for discretion. You can see there's an entry here at 75.40. This is the trigger price. It bounces down almost to 50% to target. My guess is those guys, all our folks that have taken our training, got out at break even on this one because, again, this is a discretionary trade. It had a second opportunity later in the day, but again, at 50%, I will look to see if that's where we end up later today. But opportunity in HRC, if you have some training on how to take advantage of that. And again, with this one, I will be looking at opportunity tomorrow if it does close toward the low of this area. PSX was on the plan. It is on a third section of our trading plan called Stocks and Sectors on the Radar, and this is one where you want the stock to be going along with its sector. This is one I did enter. This was a long trade, and we entered it and then stopped out. Earlier, I have put some fib lines on here so I can tell you a little bit what I think about that. But this is an even more discretionary trade. This is one where if the sector is going along with your stock, then that is your confirmation for entry. Oil sector was traveling pretty much in our favor. You can see it got to about 50% to target area. When it was failing from there, that was the signal to go on and get out of that trade. I had a tighter stop down here and took a scratch 10-cent stop on that one before it got down. I usually don't like to see it more than a 382 pullback. This one went just beyond 50%, so that was a little too rich for my blood. But again, this is a scalp trade, and it helps to have training when you're doing it. If it closes around its the high of yesterday, I might also be looking at that one tomorrow. Finally, let's take a look at Apple. We had our traders make some of these opening trades here, and they were also heavily looking at this area. If you were in the room, you saw Rick announce his entry into this trade here in Apple from this pivot level, the central pivot, down to, he said his target was 33 before it actually got there, and boom, it did. So I hope if you're with us live this morning that you saw that and can confirm that for anyone who asks. We have a very serious trading room, and we are all working together to put trades off and alert each other to things that are happening, but they all have these very tight parameters, and it's all planned out ahead of time. There's none of this musical chair type things. Even if it's trades that we enter during the day, that we only get the criteria or the stock that day, we know how we're going to trade it. For instance, our opening gap trades or the news trades. So there you go. It was a busy morning. It felt slow, but in fact there was a lot going on. KMT was really the best of it. And then some of the early opportunities always help boost the bottom line. If you have any questions, you can email me, Julie at Trader Insight.